This is a real Dilophosaurus skull. Two crests on top. That's what the name means.
Now find me the frill. Find me the venom. You can't. They were never there.
And the movie that made this animal famous took the biggest predator on its whole continent and shrank it into a lapdog.
Let's open the file. Scene reality take 1.
Dilophosaurus lived in the early Jurassic about 190 million years ago in what's now northern Arizona on Navajo Nation land.
The first bones came out of the ground in 1940. A Navajo man named Jesse Williams found them and led a museum crew back to the site 2 years later.
Red rock. Wide open desert. The kind of badlands where old bones just weather right out of the sandstone.
The first skull was too smashed up to show the crests. So, for its first 16 years on the books, this thing was labeled a completely different dinosaur.
Then a better skeleton turned up, showed off the pair of crests, and finally earned it a name of its own, two-crested lizard.
And then a book and a movie turned it into a monster, and got almost everything wrong.
Almost. Because the movie's wildest invention didn't come from nowhere. It grew out of a real piece of science, one that turned out to be wrong. Hang on to that.
And look, we've caught this movie before. The raptors were knee-high. The T-Rex could see you just fine, standing still. This time, it's the whole animal. Suspect 1. The Venom. You remember it. The cute little dinosaur that fans out, spits black goo, and blinds a guy in the rain.
That whole idea came from one place. Michael Crichton writing the novel back in 1990.
The movie ran with it 3 years later, and it stuck. Ask anyone on the street, Dilophosaurus is the one that spits.
Here's the problem. There are no venom glands in the fossil. No grooved fangs to push poison through. No delivery system of any kind.
There's no evidence any dinosaur spat venom. Not this one, and nothing convincing for any other, either.
And venom is a whole machine. Glands to make it, ducts to move it, special teeth to deliver it. You don't lose every piece of that and leave no trace behind. It was never there.
So that's the first thing we can cross off. Cut.
But why would a writer reach for poison in the first place?
Because of the jaw. Back in 1984, the scientist who named this animal looked hard at the skull and found a notch, a little gap in the upper jaw, right behind the front teeth.
He read that as a weak spot, a soft bite, probably a scavenger then, picking at things that were already dead.
And that was a fair call. With the fossils he had in front of him. Don't laugh at it. He was reading a broken, half-prepared skull, decades before anybody could put one through a scanner. Crichton just took that weak jaw and filled the gap with venom. How does a soft-mouthed hunter kill? Easy. Make it poisonous. Problem solved on the page.
Except in 2020, a full restudy pulled that skull apart, bone by bone. The notch isn't a weak spot at all. The two jaw bones locked together, tight and solid, built to anchor heavy muscle.
This was a fast, powerful hunter, with a bite that could punch straight through bone, not a scavenger. The scavenger idea is ruled out.
And there's the loop from the start. The made-up venom traces straight back to that weak jaw idea. A real hypothesis, later overturned. The fiction had a scientific seed.
Suspect 2. The frill take 2.
The neck fan that snaps open right before somebody has a very bad day.
And here's the twist. The frill isn't even in the book. Crichton never wrote it.
It's pure movie. The film crew added it in 1993, most likely borrowing it from a real lizard in Australia that fans out a collar to look scary.
But a frill leaves evidence. You'd need bony struts to hold it up, or scars on the skull where the muscles pulled.
On every Dilophosaurus skeleton we've ever dug up, not a trace. And this isn't one lucky fossil. We've got several individuals now. Every last one. Same answer. Cross it off.
Suspect 3. The size. Take 3.
The movie one stands about 4 feet tall, knee-high. And that was on purpose. They made it small so you wouldn't confuse it with the raptors.
The real one. Around 20 feet long. The biggest closer to 23, 10 feet tall, pushing 900 pounds.
Picture a grizzly bear that decided to become a dinosaur.
And it got there fast, packing on around 70 pounds a year while it was still growing.
It was the largest animal walking around North America at the time, not the warm-up act. The main event.
Line them up. The movie's knee-high pet, the real 20-foot hunter. And me for scale. The movie pet barely clears its ankle.
Okay, this is the good part.
That same 2020 study spent about 7 years on the 5 best skeletons and ran the skull through a medical scanner.
Those 2 crests everybody points at. They're hollow, packed with air pockets like bubble wrap made of bone.
From the outside, you'd never guess. The whole story was hidden inside the skull until the scanner went in.
And it's not just the crests. Air sacs thread all through the skeleton. The same setup birds use to breathe.
And in life, those crests were sheathed in keratin, the stuff horns and beaks are made of. So they were even bigger than the bone, and far too thin to ever fight with. This was a billboard, not a weapon.
So the lizard part of that name is working overtime. For decades, we drew this thing as a big, scaly reptile.
Less lizard, more bird.
So the coolest thing about this animal was never the venom or the frill. It was the plumbing.
So let's settle the case. 3 suspects. 3 fabrications. The venom came from a novelist. The frill came from a props department. And the shrinking came from a film that didn't want 2 look-alike dinosaurs sharing a scene.
The real Dilophosaurus didn't need a single one of Hollywood's add-ons. Myth busted.
Hollywood, we need to talk.
But here's the thing about the real animal. Its open questions are better than the movie's made-up ones.
Those crests, what were they actually for? Scientists still argue about it. Maybe showing off for a mate. Maybe just telling your own kind apart in a crowd. Nobody's closed that one.
Did it have feathers? Honestly, maybe. There's a single resting print out of Massachusetts that some people read as fuzz, and others say is just scuff marks in the mud, still open.
We're not even sure it lived in packs. A few turned up buried together, but a flash flood can pile up loners just as easily.
The frill was fake. The mystery is real. And the mystery is way cooler.
The movie handed it a party trick. Reality handed it a puzzle we still haven't finished.
So you tell me, which movie dinosaur should Doc drag into the case room next? The raptors, the mosasaurus, the spinosaurus? Down in the comments.
2 real crests beat 1 fake frill every time.
Next time, another animal the movies quietly rewrote.
Subscribe and keep your facts straight with Stick and Bones.